US President Donald Trump has announced 25% tariffs on imported cars effective April 2nd. Now, the new levies mark an escalation in Trump's trade war against top US trading partners and allies. Mexico and Canada, remember, were among the US's biggest automotive suppliers just last year. Trump says the duties would prompt companies to manufacture in the United States, though analysts say the extra import costs could be passed on to customers. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen described the move as bad for businesses, worse for consumers, while the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, labelled it a direct attack on Canadian workers. You must note that stocks fell ahead of the announcement, the latest sign of market trepidation over Trump's rapid-fire trade policy. But the auto duties are just an appetizer for the broader reciprocal tariffs Trump plans to unveil on the 2nd of April. Many reports are cautioning. Just listen in to what the US President had to say, followed by the Canadian Prime Minister's reaction.
But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants that were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country.
President Trump announced 25% tariffs against our auto industry. And this is a direct attack, to be clear, a direct attack on the very workers that I stood in front of, uniform workers I stood in front of this morning at the Ambassador Bridge.
Well, live from Vietnam, we have with us Mugdha Mishra, who joins us with the CEO of Lumax Autotech. Mugdha, so Trump has announced a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. Take us through the impact this will assert, and will India suffer?
Well, so the bigger point here is that the tariff is not just on auto, but also on auto components.
Right.
And while India does not export as many cars into US, but our auto component export to US is substantial. It's around $3.5 billion, and it's just in the first half of this year. It was over $3.5 billion. So you can see that it's a big important industry, and as it was till last year growing at 9 to 10%, expected to grow at 20 to 30%. But what India auto component can take heart in the fact that China is getting more penalized. So that's the reason why probably India will end up having a little bit of an edge. But to talk more about it, I have with me Mr. Vikas Marva. Hi, Vikas. Can you hear me well? All right. My first question to you: how do you see this tariff, and how do you think the trajectory will be, and what is the immediate impact on Indian auto component suppliers?
The scenario is still emerging, and I think India is not intended to be on the hot list as per the news that we are getting. But still, if you see the composition of Indian exports and largely going into North America and US in particular, it is relatively less in terms of the automotive sector. They are like practically negligible in terms of vehicles, and even in terms of auto components, it's fairly low. So it's my personal feeling that we should have a very minimal impact owing to US being a small export market for us.
But it was showing great growth till last year. Do you think that will get impacted? However, the fact that China was a bigger supplier and has got bigger tariffs now will probably somehow help India. Do you think something like that could happen?
So you're right. There was a scale-up happening, but then overall, if you see, there could be reciprocal agreements. The situation is still not very clear, and we are waiting to hear the final news. But even then, India would be comparatively expected to be better placed than, let's say, Canada or a Mexico or a China in terms of being able to export there better.
Donald Trump said that these tariffs are permanent. That was the last statement that he gave. Do we see a probability of governments negotiating with US government negotiating with each country and having a different tariff structure? And that might mean, because India has been till now with Donald Trump and Mr. Modi being constantly in touch, do you think that will help India a little bit?
Well, India does share better relationship with US than most countries on the hot list or the radar right now, and India has shown a positive inclination to lower the tariffs by even reducing duty on some high-end motorcycles. So I think it will be a very evolving kind of a situation, and we haven't heard the last on it right now. So we will have to wait and watch as far as the automotive sector is concerned.
But interesting times, news coming in every day. Thank you so much, Vikas, for joining us today.